Starting temperature 28.5, 28.5. And the starting mileage is 49575, 49575. Hey YouTube, it's gentlemansnine. Heading back to work. It's a Monday. So man, this weekend was warm. Saturday I think was a high of 42, and yesterday it was 41. So a lot of snow has melted and the roads have been wet, and apparently today there's been reports of like spots of ice where snow has melted and then like a little stream has run across the road. Alright, so MuzzleMike had a video where he was talking about your first bike. My first bike, if you want to call it that. This was been back when I was in like, I don't know, 3rd or 4th or 5th grade, somewhere way back in grade school. My parents had bought a Honda Elite 50 maybe? Or 80? I think the first one they had was a 50, and then they got an 80cc something. But so at the time, you know, obviously I was a lot smaller. That thing felt like it weighed a ton, and had plenty of power for me because all I was doing was running around this the town delivering newspapers, and I would only do that like maybe twice a year when the regular paperboy needed help. They went on vacation or whatever. And my town was pretty small, so there really wasn't much to deliver. And then there's like a 25 year gap before I decided to get back into riding. I guess I wouldn't even call that first part riding. So my first bike was a Suzuki Bergman 650, and I'm still on it. This thing is, I think, 4? Man, I'm not even sure. It must be 4 years old. No. Or 4.5. 4.5 years old, or something like that. And this, in my opinion, actually for me was probably too big of a bike. Just from the physical weight. Definitely not the motor. I'm a bigger guy, so it's not like 650 was too big physically, but just from the sheer weight, this thing weighs like 600 pounds without anything on it, so that makes for a pretty heavy bike. And when you first start riding, my biggest problem first off was balance, especially when you come to a stop. And on a bicycle you can lean whatever angle you want, and the bike is light, so you can definitely keep it upright. But on a motorcycle or a scooter like this thing, that weight, you gotta be, relatively speaking, you gotta keep it kind of upright, because once it goes past a certain angle, this thing's going down. So that was hard. There's been a couple times where it was almost close to falling when I came to a stop. But I am physically pretty strong, so I'm able to keep it upright. So if you're not like a weightlifter or anything, then I definitely wouldn't get something this physically big. And like I said, 650 was a decent motor size for me, because I was crazy and I wanted to go on the interstate right away, and that's only because I want to use it for my commute. However, if you're lighter than me, which I'm guessing most people are, I would think you wouldn't get anything bigger than the 650. Probably closer to 500 or something. And that's for a couple reasons. Like, first, the weight. So it depends on what bike you get. A Bergman is unusually heavy to begin with. Most other bikes that have a 650 or smaller are lighter than this. And the second one, which I don't know if a lot of people talk about anymore, is throttle control. If you have a big bike, so like I have a Triumph Trophy, which is a 1200, and you can turn that throttle just a little bit and there's power going to come out. On this 650, first off, it's got a CVT, so it's a little bit more mushy when you turn the throttle But if you have a 650 with a manual transmission, any kind of twist of the throttle, you're gonna feel it. So you have to be very careful, very methodical, because the throttle actually has, you know, multiple positions. It's not all the way off, all the way on. And I think a lot of people, when they first start riding, that's what they get used to. I guess it depends on your car is, but a lot of cars have like a 2-liter engine or something, and you step on the gas and you don't really have to fine-tune your control there. You can just stomp on it and you'll accelerate like any other normal car would. Anyways, I know when we had the 250 for Jenny, the throttle, that one had 2 positions. It was either all the way off or all the way on, basically, because it needed the power to accelerate my big butt. So throttle control. And if you get like a liter bike or something as your first bike, you're nuts. I think MuzzleMike said it too. If you're going to drop something, you're probably going to drop it or wreck it when you first get it. So get something that doesn't have as much power, so you can start learning how to fine-tune your throttle control. And don't get something new, because if you drop it, well, that's your brand new bike that you just bought, and you're riding it when you have the least experience. So I would recommend something used, something with a little bit smaller motor. Get used to the throttle, get used to the weight, and if you drop it, who cares? It's used. And then when you're ready, in a year or 2, go ahead and upgrade. That's what I'd recommend. Alright, talk to you guys later. Bye. Ending mileage 49615, 49615.